In the pursuit of understanding nature's greatest mysteries, people created art. In their quest to find the answers to those mysteries, they created science. Today, we might see a clear divide between these two fields, but back in the day when science was a little bit more than just educated guesswork, do something to someone, see what happens type beat. Often science and art were sharing a common goal of mastering and sometimes even surpassing the natural world. Hi, I'm Bill Durstrom, a visual artist based in Athens, Greece, and I created this channel to document my journey of creating my game, a medically themed TCG. Now, what does that mean? If you're watching this, you're probably familiar with what a TCG is, so I won't spend time explaining that. Instead, what I want to do in this episode, is delve into the idea aspect behind the game. Also, talk a little bit more about the concept, and also in the future, I'm hoping to share my process behind making rules and mechanics, and quite possibly do streams where I share videos where I'm playtesting the game. You could be involved with that if there's enough interest. Maybe in a stream we could simulate the game in Tabletop Sim, and you can playtest the game that way with me live. And of course I want to share artwork, which obviously being an artist is the things that I'm most excited about. So, what type of game is this? In my opinion, when creating a TCG, it is essential to consider a few key elements that will influence every other design decision that you will make in the future. One of those things is the game's design philosophy, which is not only the physical design, but it encompasses what the game aims to accomplish and how it makes players feel. Another aspect is theming, which will likely influence many other facets of the game. To be honest, it will most likely influence all facets of the game. And even though I don't like the term, another very important thing to have in mind is what audience are you trying to appeal to? What is the target audience? This is not just the player base that you want to appeal to, but it's also the player base that you are hoping to cultivate. So, what tone and feel do I want the game to have? I envision Trulo to be a strategy-based trading card game that blends historical fantasy and alchemical lore. Players will take on the role of a physician, an alchemist, or even a mage who wields ancient medical practices and knowledge, and he or she uses that knowledge to control homunculus-like creatures that are called daimon. And while these creatures are being driven into battle by their masters in a relentless pursuit for more power and knowledge, for the daimon, it's actually a fight for their own freedom. In terms of design philosophy, the game will evoke the themes of medieval medicine and will emphasize thoughtful decision making, and will challenge players to engage in a fight involving manipulation and control, and it will reward those who can bend the elements to their will in order to achieve victory. Like I've mentioned before, the theme of the game is what I had the strongest vision for from the get-go. I drew inspiration from the ancient practices of alchemy, astrology, and the concept of humorism. I have a background in fine arts, history and theory, and I've always been inspired by the medieval and Renaissance eras, and I wanted to make a game that evokes that type of vibe in a fantasy sense, but also in a historical sense. Back in those times, the sciences, like I said, were deeply intertwined, and medicine overlapped with all kinds of things. It involved heavily astrology, and which is the equivalent of astronomy back then. And physicians would even consider your astrological sign to evaluate your health and regulate your diet based on your temperament in hopes of altering it. They even employed techniques for healing that you might be familiar with, like bloodletting. A form of bloodletting was leeches. You've definitely heard of leeches, but there were also tons of other practices that seem bizarre by today's standards, like emetics, which for obvious reasons we'll not get into, because gross. Here's how the theme of astrology translates into one of the mechanics in the game. So each diamond is assigned a zodiac sign, and that zodiac sign is responsible for partially the temperament of your diamond. So, for instance, if you have a diamond that's a Cancer, even though Cancer is a water sign, it will have a temperament partially influenced by fire because it's a summer sign. And then you will have to combine that inherent temperament with another element of your choice to change and influence the diamond's temperament, total and final temperament, which will result in wildly different effects and behavior. Speaking of temperament, this leads us to the other big part of the theme. Humorism is the ancient medical concept that suggests that our body is governed by 4 fluids, which are called humors. As you might have guessed, this is mechanics-wise, this is going to be the resource system in the game. These humors are
1. Blood. It's associated with the sanguine temperament. Typically it's associated with youth and the element of wind. 2. Phlegm. Phlegm is linked with a phlegmatic temperament typified by calmness, reliability, and a thoughtful nature. Phlegm is associated with the element of water. 3. Choler, more commonly known as yellow bile. Choler is connected with a choleric temperament marked by ambition, energy, and a tendency to be easily angered. It's associated with fire. And finally, 4. Melancholy, or the black bile. Melancholy is associated with the melancholic temperament, and it's characterized by introspection, sensitivity, and a tendency towards sadness and depression. This is the element of earth.
This theory posits that the balance or imbalance of those humors affects both physical health and personality traits, and imbalance was thought to cause disease, while a proper balance was believed to result in good health and a good mood. The origins of humors can be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome, namely with Hippocrates and Galen. And humor as a theory was highly influential not only in antiquity, but also medieval and the medieval and Renaissance era. But also, it was influential for way longer. After humor theory, there was, I believe, miasma theory, which was not that long ago. And after that, only in the 19th century, we started understanding a little bit more about illnesses and biology, and we developed germ theory. So that's really not that far back. I will talk about humors more extensively and how I implemented them in the game in a later episode where I'll go more in depth about mechanics and card interaction. Lastly, what is my target audience? Well, while I don't like the term target audience, I think this will appeal to you if you like me enjoy strategy games. So that would place us in the same boat as people who enjoy Magic the Gathering, I guess, and games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Though my main gripe with Yu-Gi-Oh! And what I really want to avoid with this game is being too one-sided. And what I mean by that is, I don't like that in Yu-Gi-Oh! For instance, players take too long in their turns. I want the game to feel like I want to place limits to avoid that specific problem, and I also want the core rules of the game to be way simpler than Magic's. I also think that this game will appeal to history and fantasy enthusiasts, definitely people who like historical themes, medieval themes, the occult, and dark fantasy. Lastly, I think that the game will appeal to mischievous little shits like me. You know you're a mischievous little shit if you perked up when I said the word manipulation. Jokes aside, I wanted to create a game that is actually a bit dramatic and stressful in a good way, obviously, mostly, because I do want it to be kind of punishing. The last thing I wanted to do is create a casual game experience, and I think I achieved that mainly with mechanics like the win condition, which as a topic I will save that for a later episode. I think that's enough information for now. If you like to follow along with my journey of creating the game, like and subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts on everything I said, on anything that stood out to you in the comments below. Let me know if you ever tried making a game, or have you ever thought about it. What are your thoughts on making games? What would your approach be? You can tell me anything. Join me next time, where I'll go a bit more in depth about the resource system, and I'll also delve into the topic of alchemy. Bye bye for now.